Hi everybody, and welcome to Quilt Club for the month of May. We're delighted that you're still joining us, and I hope you're really enjoying the project. Every block is different and interesting. It's quite exciting, and by now you should be starting to see your blocks coming together and get an idea of what your quilt might be looking like. This month's block is a little bit different. This is the block for the month of May, and you can see that it's made up of 3 different units. So I'm just going to come a little bit closer. The center unit, of course, is just a plain square. That's really easy to do. The ones where I'm holding these outer corner blocks are shaded 4-patch units, or sometimes called birds in the air, and I believe they are also called Mary's triangles. There's a lot of different names applied to this block. It's a very interesting block, a little more unusual than some of the other ones we've done, but still easy to put together. The other blocks that have the accent color in them that are in the center of each side is a 1/4 square triangle. So that's a very easy unit for you to make. You'll be used to making those now. It's the positioning of the colors and the accent fabrics that gives us the beautiful star pattern. So really, really nice block. So the 1/4 square triangle we won't go over because you have done that before. You can use the directions from the pattern provided by Upper Canada Quilt Works, and that gives you exact measurements for producing each unit within the block, or you can choose to make them slightly larger and then trim them down using a trim tool like the Tucker trimmer or the Eleanor Burns trim up tool. Both of those will give you accurate results a little more easily than cutting exact measurements from the pattern. And I always like that because I'm not the number 1 quilter, I'm the number 10 quilter. Anyway, the shaded 4-patch unit can also be done using the Tucker trimmer. And in the how-to video, I touch on that briefly. There is a technique sheet from Deb Tucker that is the information you need to make that shaded 4-patch, and it gives you information there for 21 different sizes of that shaded 4-patch unit. So it's a really cool information sheet. At the time I made the how-to video, we didn't have them. We've received a few, and we're going to try and get more. But if you would like to get one of those and use your Tucker trimmer to make those shaded 4-patch corner units in the block, you'll be able to see these on the website at the 20% off. If you haven't got a Tucker trimmer yet, that's also available on the website for the 20% off. Anyway, so that is the block for this month. Now behind me, I'm just going to move this slightly. There is our block in this on point quilt. And then the other one over this side, we'll spin over this way. It's down near the bottom there, so it's a little bit tucked away just over here. And you can see what the different appearance is depending on whether it's on point or on the straight. Okay, so tonight, or it is tonight, I'm here late, but I've got a whole bunch of, quote, my favorite things to show you, but we also want to move into the finishing kits. So this month we are going to be emailing you, I'm just going over here to grab these. We're going to be emailing you the instructions for the 2 finishing options that we are providing you. Of course, you do not have to use these. You can do whatever setting you like. You can make 12 placemats with your blocks, whatever you like to do. But this is this finishing information for the on-point setting that we are showing you every month. And that is quilt number 1. And these are 4 pages of instructions. And then quilt number 2 is the one that's straight on and has the pieced outer border and stars in between each of the blocks. So it's quite an interesting setting as well. So as I say, you can choose to make one of those, or you can do whatever you wish. So that will be in your email. There'll be the links for that. And there's also the links to the Deb Tucker demo for the shaded 4-patch if you want to use the Studio 180 Tucker trimmer method. Okay, now because we're moving to the end, and particularly because of this setting, we are going to be talking tonight about a setting triangle ruler. So setting triangles are the triangles that you insert around the edges of an on-point quilt to bring it up to a rectangle. So you have larger setting triangles down the sides and the top, and on each corner you have about a half-size setting triangle. Now, figuring out the math for those setting triangles can be challenging. So you can certainly do that. You will be able to Google and find online how to work out the size of your setting triangles, or you can use a setting triangle ruler. So this is a ruler from Marty Michelle, who is a brilliant lady. She has been leading schoolhouse at Quilt Market, excuse me, for many, many, many years. So I've had the pleasure of interacting with her many times. This particular setting triangle, and I'm going to pause for just a second and get a piece of paper to put behind it so you can see it better. Okay, so we're away to the races here. So this will be a little bit easier for you to see. So you can see it's a very large ruler. I'm going to come a little bit closer, and you can see there are markings from the top down for the finished size of the blocks in your quilt. So this says from 5 to 16-inch blocks. So that is the block size. Our block size finishes at 12 inches. So we're going to look down the length of the ruler until we find the 12-inch marking. And that is the line that we are going to use when we're cutting our setting triangles and our corner triangles. So this ruler is very large because it's to do both the setting triangles, which use the whole shape of the ruler to cut them out, and also to use the corner triangles. So when we're cutting the corner triangles, we're going to use a half of the ruler. So we're going to use this part, and then down the center, there's a center line, but then there's another line a 1/4 inch over from the center line. So that is what we use to line up with the edge of our fabric to cut that corner triangle, and that gives us the exact size. When we scan down the ruler here to the 12-inch mark, we can see right beside it, there's a circle with 9 inches written inside it. That is the width of the strip of fabric we will be using to cut out our setting triangles for our 12-inch finished blocks. So if we were making another size with, say, 8-inch finished blocks, then we'd be looking at making a 6-inch strip to cut out those 8-inch, the setting triangles for an 8-inch block. But we're doing 12, so we need a 9-inch strip of fabric. Now I'm going to just go over to the other side of the classroom here. So I'm just going to rotate you guys sideways. Bear with me as I wheel you around. And I'm going to come a little bit closer here so you can see my strip of fabric. And I have cut that at 9 inches. So that is the strip of fabric I'm going to be using to cut out my corner triangles and my setting triangle. So as I mentioned, for the corner triangle, I'm going to use that line that is offset from the center line by a 1/4 of an inch. And I hope you can see this reasonably well. So when I place this on the 9-inch line, I'll bring it over here. So now I've got the 9-inch line, which corresponds with that 12-inch line to cut everything out along the bottom edge of my strip of fabric. I've got the line that is off center by a 1/4 inch, goes down the side of my fabric, and then the top engineered corner of the ruler lines up with the top edge of the fabric. And I'm going to just slice up that angle of the ruler, and that will give me my corner triangle. Then I'm going to flip the ruler over and line up that 12-inch line with the top of the fabric now. And remember, I've got my offset for the first one. For the second one, I'm using the entire ruler, but only up to that 12-inch line, and I'm going to slice off in that side. Then I can flip again, and it's just that flip and cut that we get with so many rulers, and I'm going to be able to cut setting triangles across the whole width of the fabric. Now, for all the corners, you need 4 corners, so you're going to be taking those off the ends of your strips as you're cutting out. And what I end up with is a whole bunch of, I will have 4 different corner triangle units, and I'm going to have a whole bunch of setting triangles. Once I've got them cut out, I'll come close again so you can see. On the corner of the ruler, you can see it's got an engineered corner. So that lets me just take off the sharp corners so that every piece I put together has this engineered corner and they mesh together beautifully. So for example, when I'm doing my, I've cut this out using the edge of the line that's offset, but to do the engineered corners, I slide the ruler right over so the tip is right at the edge, and then I can trim off those engineered corners. And same for the top, I slide it down to the 12-inch mark and trim off that top for the engineered corner. And same with this side, I'm going to trim that off with the engineered corner. So it's a great way to make those setting triangles, and because it has such a huge variation in sizes, you're going to be able to use this for multiple projects. Every time you want to do a setting triangle or corner triangle, you're going to have the tool that's going to allow you to do it. So the ruler is $49.99 unless you're 20%, and it's a great purchase. There's not too many setting triangles on the market anymore, and it's a really nice ruler to have. Okay, going back to our original position. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm taking you a tour around the classroom today because I've got different things to show you in different places. So as I say, today I decided I wanted to share some of my favorite tools with you. They've helped me so much, and I want to make sure you know about them, and perhaps they can help you in your projects as well. So the first one is a product called Diagonal Seam Tape. So this is a product from Quilt Sew, who are, it's a fabulous design company. Tons and tons of patterns by Quilt Sew, and they're amazing. And they also have a few products on the market. So this is a washi tape. So it's an adhesive tape, but lightly adhesive. So it adheres but peels off very, very easily. It is marked, and I'm going to get the one that's out of the package here. It's marked with a number of different lines on it. So there's a red line right down the center, and then the black lines that are towards each edge are exactly 1/4 inch away from the red line. So the idea with this tape is that you're going to adhere it to your sewing machine bed, take the end of it up to your feed dog area, and then run it forwards towards the edge of your sewing machine bed. So it's coming out towards you from the feed dog area. What you want to do is line up that red line exactly with where the needle enters the fabric. So you can put your needle down into the fabric so you can more accurately see it. And then you want to have it stretching out and adhere to your machine bed in line with the needle. So you can eyeball it very, very easily. You can get a ruler and lay it on your machine bed to guide you so that you have it accurately placed. And if you aren't accurately placed, you can easily lift it up and move it around because it is that repositionable adhesive that's very easy to take off. So this is a wonderful tape for helping you sew units where you would typically mark a diagonal line, for example, in half square triangles. So in half square triangles, I'm going to show you, I've got my 2 pieces of fabric. I'm going to put those right sides together. And typically we would draw a line from point to point and then stitch 1/4 inch each side of the line and then cut down the line. This allows us to do the stitching without doing any marking on our square units. So here I have my machine bed. This is my pseudo machine bed. So I have stuck a piece of washi tape to the cupboard door here, just to show you how we're going to feed that through. So when I'm going to be stitching this, I'm going to be lining up the point of the fabric on the black line that is 1/4 inch to the left of the red line, which is in the center. So it's going to be 1/4 inch to the left of your needle position. So I can work that up really close to my feed dog area All the while I'm keeping an eye on this lower point to make sure it's still in line with the black line that's a 1/4 inch away from our center line. Then I'm going to lower my machine foot and start stitching. As I'm stitching, I'm going to be guiding this up through under my feed dogs, but all the time I'm watching that bottom point and keeping it in line with that black line. So what you're going to end up with is a stitched line that is a 1/4 inch away from the center of your rectangle, your center line there. Then to do the other side, I'm going to snip my threads off. I'm just going to rotate it and then do exactly the same thing on the other side. And that is going to put my second line of stitching a 1/4 inch to the other side of the center line, all without a mark on my square fabric. So it's a great method for stitching. This is, you can leave it on your machine. It's best to not leave it on for too long, because the longer it's on there, the more adherent it becomes to your machine bed. So you might have to just take a little bit of glue remover to remove that adhesive. So it's best to remove it after each project. And then it's a very inexpensive product. You can just replace it the next time you're going to do it. So that's the first of my favorite things. That is diagonal seam tape. And I was just seeing if they tell us how much we get. And unfortunately, I cannot tell you how much is on that roll, but I can tell you there's a lot. This is the first roll I've ever bought, and I'm still going strong with it. So it's $13.99 for the roll, less your 20%. Okay, 2 more awesome tools is my all-time favorite seam ripper, and I have tried all sorts of different seam rippers, but it's still my all-time favorite seam ripper. It's extremely inexpensive. It's kind of the generic seam ripper. It is by Clover, and it for me, it just has the nicest combination of features. It has a very long, relatively thin point on it. It comes to a sharp point. It's got a nice thin tip there for getting under your stitches. This section here, the black section, is ridged and slightly rubbery, but it has a really nice feel. And when I'm using the seam ripper, that is just the perfect place and shape for me to grip, to get a good hold at the seam ripper for pulling out your stitches. The shaft of the seam ripper is made of a smooth white plastic, and I find it just fits my hand beautifully. And this has been my go-to for probably 15 years. Clover has had these for a long, long time. So if you're in the market for a new seam ripper, give this one a try, because you're going to love it. So this is $10.99, less your 20%. And then the other tool I have is the Purple Thing. So it comes in a package like this. It's kind of goofy packaging, and it has a little figure in there of somebody ready to stitch. So the Purple Thing is kind of a combination utility tool. So it has all sorts of different features. I use some more than others, but I like it for working stuff under my sewing machine foot. You can see that that end is just a little bit turned up. It's thinner towards the tip and tapers as well. I'm putting it in front of my shirt so you can see it a bit better. So it's almost like a little spoon shape, but it's great for getting into the needle area and pushing your fabric through if you've got any little hiccups or you want to smooth a seam out under the presser foot or anything like that. It's awesome for that. It's a soft plastic, so if it does get under your needle, you're not going to damage your needle in the same way that you would if you were using a metal pointer or awl or something like that to work your fabric under there. At the top end, there is a slot through there, so you can use that for threading things through casing, like you're putting a drawstring in pajama pants or swimsuit or anything like that. The very top is square, and that top is actually 1/4 inches square. So this is a great little tool for measuring your seam width. So you can double check on your accuracy of your 1/4 inch seam just with that little top edge. Again, you can also use that to push stuff through. It's got a butt end on it, so it's a little bit different from the other end, but it's also useful. Generally speaking, it is a great all-purpose tool for being your third hand. and I use it all the time. So the Purple Fang is extraordinarily inexpensive. It's only $6.99, and again, it's less your 20%. Now I have one more thing to show you, and I'll be right back. Okay, now the last thing I'm going to show you of my favorite things is this Annie's double-sided basting tape. So this is a product by Annie. They are a large company, and they have all sorts of products, particularly for bag making, but all sorts of other products as well. So this is a very thin double-sided basting tape. It is an 1/8 of an inch wide, or 3 millimeters, and it's 20 meters long that you get in the package. It comes in two separate packages. One is in the center of your folded instructions there, and one sits on the front. So you have two rolls within the package. So what this is great for is adhering pieces of fabric and other substances together to allow you to sew them more accurately and easily when pins do not necessarily work that well. So it's great for materials that aren't great for pinning, such as cork, vinyl, stiff interfacings, anything like that that you want to adhere the two layers together so there's no shifting when you are doing your stitching. They're wonderful for installing zippers, so that's what I was going to show you here. And I'm going to pretend I'm just going to be installing a second zipper in this particular project. Now, it's quite thin, so when you're pulling it off, you can see it's quite thin. It's very sticky on the one side, and the other side has a piece of paper on top of it. So say I want to secure this zipper in position. What I'm going to do is not get stuck to it before. I shouldn't have unrolled quite so much. Just give me a second here, I'll get that off of there. I'm going to roll that back on just a wee bit. Okay, so I'm going to start putting this down on the one side of my zipper. And I want to just be able to adhere that in position on the bag before I stitch it in place. Okay, so I'm going to just pull this out all the way here, and you can just break it off when you get to the end. By Annie apparently researched this particular double-sided basting tape for 2 years to find the exact requirements that they were looking for, the level of stickiness, the ability to work with it, the size, everything. So you can see I'm just pulling off that outer paper. So now what I've got left there is the basting tape, but nothing else. So that I'm just going to put down on my bag there. Now my zipper is a little bit long for this particular project, and it is firmly fastened in position. It's not going to fall off, and then I can stitch my zipper in place over that with ease, and it's going to hold everything steady. If you find it's not quite right, you can reposition. So it holds it in place really well, but it is also easy to peel off to reposition again. So wonderful for attaching, say, a vinyl pocket. Say this was my vinyl pocket. I can put the tape on 3 sides, adhere it in place, and then stitch around it with no shifting or anything like that. It's great when you're attaching bag handles to a bag or something like that, where everything is very thick and it's very, very hard to get pins through. Particularly when you're putting on a top layer where wonder clips are not going to work that well either. This works like a charm. So works with fabric, paper, cork, vinyl, mesh. Great for putting the edging on a mesh pocket that's going in a bag. Soft and stable or other interfacings like inner form, Peltex, any of those things, you can use the basting tape to hold it in position. Makes placing zippers, fold over elastic handles and straps fast and easy. So it is a wonderful, wonderful product, and is, again, not an expensive product. It's $13.99 less your 20%. Okay, now lastly, I have a ton of books from Annie's Quilting that I want to share with you, and I'm just going to go along the row of them very slowly because we have quite a few, and I don't want this to take too much longer. You'll find all the details on the website when you go there. These books are great because they are very inexpensive, And they have a wealth of beautiful patterns inside them. So the first one I'm showing you here is 'Tis the Season for Quilting. And this has 12 holiday designs in it. The next one I know is absolutely gorgeous because I have it. This is Christmas Quilting with Wendy Shepherd, and it has 9 different holiday patterns in it. Again, really, really beautiful patterns, and some of them are very cute and whimsical. On the last one, I got to show you the gnome. Isn't that adorable? The little gnome and mushroom ornaments. Those are great. Okay, then we have table toppers for all seasons. So we have 12 different patterns in there. I know we have a bit of Americana on the front there, but we have lots of great quilts in there that are not Americana. So then we have some for pre-cuts. We have jelly roll quilts for all seasons with 12 designs, one for each month. We have 8 projects in more jelly roll quilts. The next one is for charm squares. So 8 projects for charm quilts, time-saving charm quilts, and 9 projects, time-saving quilts with 2.5-inch strips. Then I have fat quarter friendly quilts. Let's Get Scrappy. This is another great book that we've carried for a long time. Classic Blocks Revisited. Again, this is a really beautiful one. Quilts for kids. Always nice to have. And there's 12 designs in this one. The next one is another scrap happy one. These are really, really beautiful. 12 designs in that one. Learn to Quilt with Panels. Colorful quilts for kids. And lastly, 11 fun fat quarter quilts for spring. Okay, so that is everything for this month, and I know we've had an awful lot, and I hope you have some time to browse around on our website and check out those books a little bit more closely. I'm just going to grab a couple so I can just tell you, we've got one there was $21.99, $18.99. $18.99 is a fairly typical price. $15.99. So they range in that sort of $15 to $20 price point for the most part. I hope you all have a wonderful month of May. Get out and do a little bit of gardening, but also stay in and do a little bit of quilting. Even better, sit on the back patio and do a little bit of quilting. Anyway, thanks for joining me, everybody, and have a good month, and I will see you in June. Take care.